Hello, everyone. Welcome again. Today, we're going to talk about the playing rhythm. This is actually a principle or a concept that is very important in Spanish football, Spanish professional football, especially. And when we do the courses there, the coaching courses, either whether it's the UFAB or the A or the Pro, it's a concept that we talk a lot about and we discuss a lot. And it's a central part of the courses and of the coaches because, as we have talked many times, in Spain, most of the way of methodology is based on organization, disorganization, and the playing rhythm has a lot of relevance inside of this. Okay, so the concept of playing rhythm. The playing rhythm manifests itself when from the beginning. The rhythm is maintained until the end of the game. Certain efforts and actions that do not suffer any significant changes regarding its intensity. General consideration, a team with clear ideas recognized by always trying to impose an effective playing rhythm, whether it is fast or slow, that best suits each situation. The playing rhythm has a lot of importance in attack and defense, both in the different subphases of the organized attack or offensive transition and in the organized the organized defensive phase or defensive transition phase in order to stop and delay the adversary. The pace or rhythm of play in attack is linked to risk, since if the movement of the ball is not as fast, it will be more difficult to lose possession of it. While if the team plays at a faster pace, it will be more likely to make mistakes. Therefore, fast play requires excellent technique and insight to prevent this speed from turning into producing too many turnovers in sectors that could be very dangerous to our interest, or our team's interest. So, let me see if I can explain it or translate it or simplify it. The game of rhythm is basically how your team, when in possession of the ball, is gonna play according to the different phases or sectors in the pitch when your team is organizing in the offensive phase, okay? So we have a phase where we're gonna have possession of the ball, the build-up phase or the construction phase. There, the rhythm is gonna be slower. It's not gonna be as fast as when we're going almost through the changing from the creation to the finishing phase, where the speed will increase even more. There will be a change of rhythm there, okay? And the rhythm here in this phase, in the first phase of build-up, will be slower because we're trying to not lose the ball, play positionally, and we're trying to select the lanes that we're gonna build our attack in this case, okay? So this is the main concept of rhythm of play, okay? The same thing will happen, of course, when we change to offensive transition, the rhythm of play will change. So there, the rhythm of play will be really fast because normally these situations will be where our team is going to steal the ball in offensive phase, in offensive sectors, and there we're going to look for fast-paced football, very vertical, looking for depth. Okay, so this, as you see, this is all related to all the principles of attack. Okay, and this is related to how your team is going to attack when they have the ball. Now, when we are defending, it will be the opposite. We're going to try to control the rhythm of play. We're going to try to defend according to what rhythm of play the other team will have, and considering what situation the other team is in. Okay, I'm going to put in examples here in Spanish for the ones who understand. For the ones who understand Spanish from the Federation, okay, and there it explains, it gives the same definition that it just pastes in Spanish.
Ritmo de juego. Se manifiesta cuando se mantienen, desde el principio hasta el final del partido, unos esfuerzos y acciones que no sufren durante su desarrollo ningún cambio aparente en cuanto a su intensidad. El ritmo del juego tiene mucha importancia en ataque y en defensa. Si en ataque la rapidez y la presión son elementos mayores, defensivamente frenar y retrasar al adversario es esencial. El ritmo del juego está unido al riesgo. Mientras más grande sea la rapidez de ejecución, más numerosos serán los errores. Se manifiesta cuando se mantienen, desde el principio hasta el final del partido, unos esfuerzos y acciones que no sufren durante su desarrollo ningún cambio aparente en cuanto a su intensidad.
Okay, so that was in Spanish, basically the definition, okay? So the playing rhythm will be related to the characteristics of the actions that appear in the game, changing every few seconds. The constant modifications are carried out through a greater or lesser number of individual and collective actions, determined by the speed of their execution and the areas of the field in which they are developed. Therefore, we will consider that the pace of the game or rhythm of play is determined by the volume, greater or lesser, of the actions that take place in the game as a function of time. At a high pace of play, we will usually result in players having less space and time to execute the game action. So it's basically related to what phase of the build-up or construction phase are we in, what sub-phase, okay? And it will depend on, also it can be related to strategy that you can have on the team, okay? For example, there are coaches that have a very slow rhythm of play. Like, for example, Mourinho normally likes to have the build-up very slow because his play is very positional, okay? And his main objective is to progress or to advance, but not lose the ball, okay? Which is really important, okay? Now you have other coaches who work this a lot, like for example, Guardiola's teams, and their rhythm of play is higher because their objective is basically, they have players normally in the back who are masters with the ball, and their objective is basically to move the defense, okay, the defender. So it will be depend on your playing model and of course the players that you will have, okay? Types of kinds of rhythm of play: fast pace, A, fast pace of play, or B, slow pace. So you can have a really fast pace, okay? Or you can have a slow pace, or you can have a rhythm, or you can have both, depending on what sub-phase of the build-up phase you're at, okay? Purpose and objectives of this fast pace of play. A, if we consider that we are better prepared than the opponent in the physical aspect, with the fast pace of play, we must try to wear down the opponent. B, if our players possess with greater speed, or they have great speed, by imposing a fast pace of play, we are keeping them at a very high level of participation. And C, with a fast pace of play, a high rhythm of play, it will be easier to surprise the opponent at a given moment, even when executing plays from set pieces strategy. It is easier to get past an opponent whose players are rushing back than a solidly organized defense, okay? Now, ways to counter the fast pace of play. When the opposing team manifests a fast rhythm of play, it will be manifesting that it plays with high speed, and we can counterattack with it, okay? Or counteract with it. A, markings or defending in the area with a parallel line and causing offside, reduction of spaces. Okay, so the way to counterattack the teams with high pace is basically play with a defense high, reducing space, okay? Playing around with reducing space and retreating, and that will be the B. Okay, the timing, the defensive timing, that will be the C. Okay, and pressing the ball holder, that will be another strategy. Okay, because all these are strategies that you can adapt when you have teams that play with a fast rhythm of play. Okay. Purpose and objectives of slow pace of play or slow rhythm of play. If the opposing team shows us a much faster pace of play than ours, we should try to make them fall into the trap of playing at our slow pace to A, physically benefit from being at a circumstantially lower physical level and being able to endure the entire match. B, achieve better ball conservation and control of the game. And C, facilitate the unchecking or getting free from the defenders of the forwards. Okay, so this will be against a team that will have a very slow pace. This is a factor that's very important. It's not very mentioned a lot in coaching courses and coaching books, that if you teach your team to control the rhythm of play of its own when it's attacking and the opponent when it's defending, it will be very, very effective, okay? Because it will be much easier to defend and much easier to control the rhythm of play of the match, okay? Ways to counter the slow pace of play. If the opposing team shows a slow pace of play, we can counteract it with pressing the ball holder to play with speed. Be very careful to prevent the creation of free spaces, prevent the opponent in finding free space in teammates, prevent permanent support to opponent. If the opponent tries to maintain position by means of a slow pace of play, we must carry out total pressing. Total pressing will be to press throughout the whole offensive space, okay? And maintaining a tactical discipline to prevent it from making us leave our defensive positions, okay? Okay, so basically, and now adding or tying all of this up in this puzzle, this is another factor that is very important, as I said, that we have to work, especially when we're talking about professional or semi-professional football or soccer, because, this will give your team is going to give it a huge advantage as far as controlling the rhythm of play and the opponent, okay? Because if your team is always controlling the rhythm, the other team is going to be very difficult for them to build up, or they're just going to build up in certain spaces and they're not going to build up on others. Or you're going to be always cutting the attack, either intercepting or even with fouls. Some teams do it, especially the more defensive teams. And you will always have a very good defensive balance. So your team will always be prepared to defend and defending it as a block. And when you're attacking the opposite, you're going to be controlling all the time the opponent. How are we going to work these? Very, like I always say, using the same tools that we use normally in Spanish football and in general nowadays, because I think now everyone worldwide trains more or less the same way or a similar fashion with passing exercises, where we're going to work collective technique or individual tactical technique, however you want to call it, okay? Concentrating on the body position, the wide stance, controlling with the farther leg, playing with the front leg, the back where the team, the only player that can be with his back against the opponent's goals, the speed of the ball, okay? All these factors, small factors, we're going to concentrate on passing exercises and especially rondos, okay? Also in possessions, and as in Spain they call it conservaciones, which are possessions, okay? Also in positional games, and then we will top it off with, theme or matches with constraints, okay? So all these tools, we're going to always work with all these tools in all these types of exercises. And the exercises are going to focus on these things. When we're playing, as I always say, passing drills, not so much, because passing exercise normally is an analytical exercise. It doesn't have opposition normally. But when we're talking about rondos, especially simple, single, double, triple, moving rondos, all types of rondos that you have, possessions and all these types of exercises, especially rondos when they're very small, we're going to concentrate on small things and things like we just mentioned, okay? Moving the ball, moving quickly the ball, not repeating passes in the same zone, moving from one space to another, reorganizing constantly, okay? So that the player, when he's going to do that in the match, he's going to do it without thinking, okay? It will be automatic for them. It will not be something, a new stimuli, okay? So all this information, you're going to focus on these type of exercises. When we're going to work on more big space, constraining matches, of course, positional game matches where you're going to play players playing similar to a zone when they normally move around in the matches. There we're going to work more on other principles or macro principles, okay? Things that are more large to our play model, okay? Now, some of the most common problems when not managing the rhythm of play, the playing rhythm correctly, not being able to discriminate between the different phases or moments. Okay, so this is really rather important, okay? So this is problem we see that a lot in especially here in South America. Okay, the teams are not able to discriminate between the different phases or moments. So in the organized attacking phase, the rhythm will be slower so as not to lose the ball and direct through the right lanes the attacks, where it will then speed up, and as the finishing phase is reached, it will reach a higher speed, okay, until it's really the finish occurs, that when it will slow down again. But normally, these things is very important to understand them, that we're going to build up slow, then as we choose or we find the lane, the team finds the lane where it's going to attack, it's going to increase the speed. When it's going to reach almost the finishing phase, it's going to increase even more, and then we're going to finish the play. It will slow down a bit, okay? So this is basically the phases that when you're attacking, it will go through, okay? In the offensive transition phase, the aim is to complete the plays with depth and speed in order to take advantage of the rivals or the opponent's defensive disorganization. The movement of the ball and the rhythm of the game. So it's not about moving the ball, but the opponent, okay? That's Guardiola. It's a famous quote he said in a press conference once. Okay, so basically the discussion of possession and non-possession, it's really irrelevant, because the possession is really not the objective, but a way to move the opponent, okay? Possession and ball circulation will not be an objective in itself, but a way to make the opponent team move from one side to another to find free spaces. They will not discriminate the difference in the rhythm of the game when the team loses the ball and must take away the rhythm of the opponent in order to stop possible offensive transition by the opponent. So another thing is to work the rhythm of play, as we said, when we're working defensively or when we're changing from attack to defense in the transition phase, okay? So there we have to very quickly, if we lose the ball in certain spaces, very quickly close the spaces near to our goal and try to make the team, the opposing team, take the longer way to our goal. And also, the third objective will be to slow down their pace, okay? So all these things, we're going to concentrate on the matches. We're going to try to create situations where these actions are going to occur, okay? Not imposing the rhythm of play that best suits our team, but rather the opposite, okay? Move the opponent to tire them, okay? Remember that, as we always say, there are two ways to defending, okay? Not only without the ball, but also with the ball, okay? So having possession of the ball and having long possessions, you're going to be defending as well, So one strategy of rhythm of play is I used to use this a lot in my teams, to have long possessions to tire the teams out. And then the second half, we would take advantage of them, that they were tired, okay? And defending with the ball, as I said, Attacking too quickly would not allow us to attack as a block. This is another mistake that I see that here in Spanish, in South America, that their offensive organization, they attack too quickly. So while they do this, the teams, for example, the fullbacks, they don't give them enough time to reach the last third, okay? So when they attack the opponent's area, they only end up with maybe 2 or 3 players at the most. So we're gonna need for our players to reach in a block, to attack in a block, so that the plays will be more effective. And also, if we lose the ball, we're ready to press immediately, okay? So this is why the rhythm of play is extremely, very important, so that your team reaches the opponent's area, like the top teams. If you watch the top teams like Liverpool or Real Madrid or Manchester City, Chelsea, all these teams, the top teams, you're going to see that they're balanced. The offensive balance, you're going to have always 6 players, 5 or 6 players around the box, inside the box, border edge of the box, okay? And this is very effective in order for you to finish the plays and also to press immediately after losing the ball, okay? Gegenpressing, okay? Okay, and this problem is mainly because the coaches do not see the game as a whole, a systemic way, okay? They're just thinking of attacking while they're not thinking of defending immediately. Is a part. When you're attacking, you're already thinking of defending, and when you're defending, you're thinking of attacking, okay? The rhythm of play is linked or goes hand in hand with other specific principles of our game model, such as mobility, penetration, space, and offensive coverage. Okay. And I'll finish it with a famous quote from Álvaro Recoba, which is a fellow countryman who played in top teams at top level, in Inter de Milan especially. He was made famous. You don't run at the same pace when you have the ball as when you don't. So when you're attacking, you're playing at a one pace. When you're losing immediately, when you lose immediately the ball, the pace is going to be much higher. Okay, so the rhythms are always changing in football. Okay, we don't play at one rhythm, and of course, as I mentioned before, depending on the sub phases of build up, okay, when you're attacking, the rhythm will be different. It will be slower, it will be faster, it will be medium speed, or it can be really fast. Okay, and when you're defending, the same thing. When you immediately lose the ball, the speed will be higher, and then it will decrease. Okay, so all these things are factors that are very important, and especially when we're talking about professional football, professional soccer, or if you're working with players that have potential to play professionally, it's very important for them to know all these concepts or principles so that they understand in the future the game. And when they play professionally, it will be very easy for them to understand the game and to play professionally, okay? Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please leave a comment. Don't forget to share and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you soon, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.